Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask unanimous consent that the remarks that were prepared for me to read this morning be submitted for the record.
They will be.
Because I'm not going to read them. I have a unique honor and privilege to introduce a friend of mine for 30 years, someone I know to be a great politician, a great practicing legislator, a great family man, a great community servant, and a great friend of mine. It's an honor for me to do so. And I want to thank each of you for taking my call before this meeting today when I called you to ask you to listen to what Tom had to say, because I think you'll be impressed with what you hear, no matter how tough the question might be. You know, I approach this introduction as if I'm being asked what I would look for in somebody who I wanted to entrust with $1 trillion of my money, the quality of my health care, and the future of the American quality of health care. And I'd look for 5 things. First, does this man understand the American family? Not only does he understand it, but his wife, Betty, is here. Betty, stand up. She'll tell you he understands the family. And his son, Robert's not here because he's in Nashville, Tennessee, singing country music and writing country music songs, which I know the chairman would appreciate. And he's a fine young man, and I enjoy working with him. Tom is a great family man, member of Roswell United Methodist Church, active in his community, active in the state legislature, active in doing what's right for his community. He's a good man and understands the family and the value of the family and the value of health care to every family. Second thing I'd want to know is he capable of handling $1 trillion? You know, $1 trillion is a lot of money. It's actually 1.1 trillion, but when you get to 1.1, why worry about it? It's a lot of money. It's more than we appropriate, as the chairman said. He's been chairman of the Budget Committee in the House of Representatives. He served in the Georgia legislature, leading appropriations for many, many years. He's run one of the largest medical practices in the state of Georgia. In fact, Tom Price is one of those people that put together what's known as Resurgence Orthopedics. They happen to be my doctors. In fact, they saved my son's right leg 26 years ago in a terrible automobile accident. I understand the value of Resurgence Orthopedics and what Tom has done. It's now the largest practice in our state, a well-run practice, and a practice that's set up as an example of how to do medicine in the 21st century. I want to know that my nominee for Health and Human Services understood the healthcare business. Well, who better to understand the healthcare business than a doctor? Even better than that, a doctor who's married to another doctor. Tom and Betty met at Grady Memorial Hospital when they were doing their residencies. They fell in love there, and they fell in love with the practice of medicine. And I've watched them over the last 30 years participate in activities in our state, whether elected or not, that contributed to the betterment of health care in our state, the betterment in hospitals like Grady Memorial Hospital, which is the largest crisis hospital and trauma center we have in the state of Georgia, saving lives every single day. They would have probably not been there today had it not been for people like Tom Price, who gave of his time and his effort to see to it we raised the money necessary to keep Grady open. I'd want to know they had some experience with the legislature, because, you know, if you get a chairman of Health and Human Services to come in, you give them a $1.1 trillion budget and then say, go talk to this 435 people over there and convince them of what we need to do to change the law. That's a pretty tall order. You'd want to find somebody who's served in public office. Tom's been in the State Senate of Georgia, was the first elected Republican leader of the Georgia State Senate in the history of our state. He served in the Congress of the United States. In fact, he improved the 6th District remarkably when I left and he was elected to replace me. The intellectual level went way up when Tom came, I can promise you that. And he's done an outstanding job being reelected 6 times to the United States House of Representatives, serving, as I said, as budget chairman, as study committee chairman, and as a very active member of the Congress of the United States of America. I'd want to also know if he was an accountable person and believed in accountability. Tom Price believes in accountability. He's one of the rare one of us. In fact, he may be the only one of us, and I know this is true, that reads all the bills. In fact, when I need to know something about a bill, rather than read, I call Tom Price to give me advice because I know he's read it. Sometimes he's boring, but he's always knowledgeable. And it's because he does his homework, he does it right, he believes in his responsibility. Now, I'm going to mention a couple of things that have been said negative about Tom, and I want to address them straight up because they're wrong. In fact, I did on the floor of the Senate yesterday afternoon when Chuck Schumer took this case of Zimmer Biomet and tried to make it into a major case. Zimmer Biomet is a 26-share stock that Tom Price's broker who manages his account bought for him at a time Tom was unaware of the purchase. It was 2 months after the House had acted on a medical device bill. There's a term of art called desperate impact, where you take 2 facts that are unrelated and you put them together to indict somebody for a wrong, when in fact nothing wrong was done at all, and that's the case there. The Zimmer Biomet, a $2,674 stock purchase, took place without Tom's knowledge because his account is managed by someone else. His knowledge of that purchase took place 1 month later after the disclosure was made. He didn't even know about it at the time that it was made. So the allegations that were made yesterday on the floor of the Senate are patently wrong by taking two correct things, putting together to make an incorrect thing. Now, second, something else has been said that I have working knowledge of. Tom was accused of not being for saving Social Security for seniors. Now, I'm 72 years old. I ain't going to stand up here and try to get y'all to prove somebody's not going to protect Social Security, because I got some of it. But let me tell you a little story about Tom Price. He and I got a phone call 6 months ago, I guess now it's been 8 months ago, from AARP, asking us if we would travel and do town hall forums for AARP on saving Social Security. Now, why would somebody call Tom Price, a congressman, or Johnny Isakson, a senator, to be the organization that represents seniors, to go on the road and do town hall meetings about saving Social Security if they weren't for saving Social Security? It's just incongruent, and it doesn't make any sense. Lastly, one of the best votes I cast 4 years ago for cabinet members was a vote for Sylvia Burwell. When she came before this committee and the House and the Senate Committee on Finance, I was on both committees as I am today. She's an articulate, intelligent lady. There was a lot of reason for me as a Republican in the minority to say, oh, I'll just throw a throwaway vote and I'll vote against her because she's a Democratic nominee. But I listened to her answers, I studied her history, I watched her actions, and I proudly voted for her. And today she's a professional friend of mine, and we'll miss her in her office. But there's nobody better qualified to replace Sylvia Burwell than Tom Price. I voted for Sylvia Burwell with pride, and I'm going to vote with Tom Price with pride, because I know he's the right man for the right job at the right time for America. He's my friend, and I commend him to you, and I urge you to vote for him in his confirmation.